Welcome to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizen Bank Studio. Hope you're having a great day. It's Wednesday on my show. So the second half of the show, we're going to be having Singing River Health Talk. And today, actually, Dr. Eric Rasmussen. I can't believe I messed that up. But anyway, he is an ENT specialist, an otolaryngologist, and he specializes in, he does all of that in the ENT world. But we're going to talk specifically about Inspire therapy. And so for people who are on CPAP machines and have sleep apnea, this Inspire therapy is one that they've had really good results with. And so we're going to really kind of boil that down and give you some sense of what that is all about. So I look forward to having that discussion during the second half of the show with Singing River Health Talk. But for the first part of the show, we're going to move over to my friend Austin Sumrall, Chef Austin Sumrall, from both the White Pillars in Biloxi and the Siren Social Club in Gulfport, and someone I just enjoy touching base with. How you doing, Austin?
I'm doing great. Happy to be on the show.
Listen, you and I have had discussions about this, but I thought, it's kind of in the news, so I'll mention it. The legislature passed and the governor signed into law a seafood labeling bill. And what you and I have talked about in the past is that it is true that there is no way to meet all of the demand in coastal Mississippi with just domestic seafood. There's no issue in that. Some great seafood comes from other places. The question is, don't say it's fresh, go fresh, and then serve something from a fresh lake in Africa. So that's that. So we finally got it, and it's going to be managed by the Department of Marine Resources and the Department of Agriculture. And I think it's going to build credibility back into the system, something you and I were both concerned about. But it's good to see, isn't it?
It is. I'm really excited about it. What you were saying with, misleading people and, saying something is one thing when it's really something else. I mean, that was already illegal. But this, to me, kind of keeps people from not just, obviously you can't lie on your menu, but not to at least be able to, mislead people. We want, full transparency. I think everything should be labeled so that you know where it's coming from, not just like you would assume that it's from the Gulf. This is going to make people say, actually where it is from. So I think this takes it even one step further than where we were before. And I think it's awesome. And, it's something that we were already doing, but it's nice that this is going to kind of level the playing field, essentially.
Yeah, I think it's important for a lot of reasons. One of the things that I talked about on my show a lot, and that is the negative news stories that came out of the incidents that we were seeing here in coastal Mississippi. The DNA testing that was done. And more DNA testing was coming. So that's a little unfortunate. And if you go do a search on seafood in coastal Mississippi, what you'll see is there were stories really around the world that came from our situation. And we couldn't get any more bad news. We needed to stay focused on preserving one of the wonderful parts of our heritage that makes us such a special place to visit. And that is our seafood community and our seafood heritage and the beauty of it all. So important that we're, going to solidify that brand.
I agree. I think, we needed a response from the state, and this is the perfect one. So yeah, you and I are on the same page. We kind of talked about this, and this is what really needed to happen. And I'm just so glad that it did. We've already put it into effect. Went into effect on the 1st, where you had to label all your menus and everything like that. So we've already done all that, and I hear that they're out checking. So that's awesome too. The enforcement part is going to be the next thing.
Yeah. What do they do about it? So we'll see. Okay, so we'll get to your restaurants next, but I noticed on social media, in fact, you and I had a little chat about it. You're doing these po' boy tastings, And it looks like you've had fun with it. You've been all along the coast. You've been over in New Orleans. You're having a little bit of fun with it, aren't you?
I am. It was something my wife and I just kind of were doing to be silly. And I was like, we were eating po' boys anyway. And I told her, I said, just video us and we'll talk about, what we like about it, what we don't like about it, that kind of thing. And we got a really good response from the first couple, and we just decided to just keep doing it. And the funny thing to me is I get asked all the time, like, when are you going to be done? When are you going to crown a winner? That kind of thing. There are so many po' boy places, I don't know that I'll ever be done. I'll just keep trying them until, I get tired of po' boys, which maybe never.
Yeah. It's fun to watch. And you have I have already a sense of what you like to see in a shrimp po' boy. But
we had to choose, one thing. That's another thing too. A lot of people are like, oh no, roast beef, which, I love roast beef po' boy too, but we had to choose one and stick with that so that we could kind of judge everybody evenly. And so we decided to go with the shrimp because that's really my favorite. And I just love a good shrimp po' boy. Can't hardly beat it.
Have you been surprised? Have you tripped over some unique ingredient or something that they're doing different that you just thought, now, wow, this is cool?
Well, there's a few things I think that make a big difference to like me personally. And they kind of are, the staple things in food in general. Balance is important. So you've got to get something a little, sour in there. I think the pickle is really important, and a lot of people leave that off or go too light with it or don't have a good pickle on it. You need something to cut through all that fat, and then the amount of mayo, which I know, some people like it light, but to me, it eats dry if it doesn't have enough. So those two things, that's something that's like very controllable, that makes a good po' boy for me. But when you get down to like the nitty gritty of it, when you're tasting really good po' boys, it's all about the bread. It's how fresh the bread is and where it's coming from. So that makes a big difference too.
And you like that crisp on the shrimp. You want that. You just want it to be kind of snappy.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. So let's talk about your Gulfport restaurant. How's it going?
Oh, it's going great. We've had a tremendous outpouring of, hospitality in response to that. That's been great. So it's a hotel, also 16-room boutique hotel, Hotel Vela, and that's staying full, which we're really liking to see. I think that was something that Gulfport really needed, and it's very nice, but it's also super affordable, it's very unique. So we're excited about that. And then the restaurant's so small that it's very intimate and fun, and you just a handful of people kind of fill it up. It's a little different than White Pillars. It's been a really good time. We've had a really, really fun project on that one.
And you've taken a unique approach to the menu there at the Siren Social Club. Tell us about that.
So kind of going back to it being so small, we decided that we could be, a little more focused on how we approached the cuisine there. So the menu's a little more narrow. We're doing continental cuisine, which doesn't mean probably much to anybody outside of chefs, but what that means is the food of continental Europe. And so we do a lot of different types from that area, and we do fresh pastas. We have some nice steak dishes. We do Spanish dishes, and it's been really fun. And it's kind of given us a different direction to go. It's been a really good time.
One of the things I remember most about our trip to Madrid, specifically when we visited our son Justin over there, was eating just getting a multiple small plates and just taking it all in. I mean, man, in Spain, they know how to eat and they eat well. So you probably know that quite well yourself, don't you?
Yeah, it's a fun area to cook from for sure. We've had a really good time with it. And then we're doing like a tropical tiki bar with it, which might seem like a strange combination, but it just felt right for the space. It's in a 1920s building But it's, it's still, in a beach town. So we felt like those two things kind of still matched up and went together.
Neat stuff, man. Neat stuff. What surprised you most about being over in Gulfport? I mean, that was a big new thing for you.
It was, honestly, I had never even considered, doing something in Gulfport. That really wasn't on our radar. But I'm a sucker for old, cool buildings, and our partners, which are the Thrash Group out of Hattiesburg, they brought us the building and said, "Hey, you got to come check this out. It's just got really good bones and everything." And once I was in there, it just sucked me in. It's just a really cool space. And I could kind of see the direction we were going to be able to take it as far as like decor and all that kind of stuff goes. And we had a really good time with it. It being so much smaller, we were able to go, a little harder on all the decor and everything too. So it's a little louder, more vibrant, that kind of thing inside there.
Very cool. We're visiting with Chef Austin Sumrall. When we come back, we'll kind of dive into the white pillars. We'll see what's latest there. He's got such a unique approach, lots of fresh vegetables, and whatever's hot, he's going to have it in there. We'll see you with more from Austin after this break. Welcome back to the Ricky Matthews Show from the Citizens Bank Studio. We're visiting with Chef Austin Sumrall, and we just talked about his restaurant in Gulfport. We're going to focus now on the white pillars a little bit. Listen, I've had the opportunity through my career to spend just about every month in New York for 7 years. And I mean, I have been to some of the nicest restaurants in the world, have traveled the world. And I have to tell you that on that standard that I've had the opportunity to enjoy in my career, the white pillars is right there at that standard. And one of the reasons why it is that Austin has been incredibly focused on the details. This sort of farm to table approach that he's taken has been very successful for him. So when you go there, you're going to get really fresh, and he's going to base the menu based on kind of what's the freshest, and that approach has really worked for you, hasn't it, Austin?
It has. I think you kind of really hit the nail on the head. A lot of people ask us, what type of cuisine that we do. And that's really it. We let the food guide us, let the seasons guide us. And we're able to change the menu all the time. We something changes on it every single day, which is pretty incredible. And it all just depends on what we're getting in fresh that day. So I'm actually in the kitchen right now. We're closed on Tuesdays. But we do a lot of menu planning and stuff like that on Tuesdays, and kind of see what we have available to us for the week. So we'll kind of put some direction on what we're going to do. But this time of year, summertime, to me is probably my favorite to cook in the South. We're going tomato crazy over here right now. We've just got the best and most beautiful heirloom tomatoes. And of course, featuring them several different ways on the menu. But to me, it kind of keeps me and my staff engaged all the time here. When we're changing the menu, when we're adjusting to what is available, and kind of pushing ourselves to come up with new stuff and different things. And we're seeing how people respond to different dishes and ingredients and things like that. And, sometimes we'll do a dish and that's just goes over really, really well. And when that season comes back around, that may be one that comes back on the menu that doesn't get replaced by a new dish. So it's been really fun. I think, we're almost 8 years in, and I think, it keeps us all amped and excited about it. It's almost like it's a new restaurant all the time.
Well, and just what's interesting is because you've taken that approach when you've been on these national food network competitions, it's kind of helped you kind of hang in there pretty good with some of the best of them, because you're forced to be innovative and creative and be aware of the whatever they're putting in front of you in terms of ingredients and making the best of it. I talked about this on my outdoor show a week or so ago, and that is we planted a lot of summer plots this year. So we have soybeans and chickpeas and different combinations. And because the rain has been so, if I had to say strategic placement of rain That's what we've had, not big, long, dry spells. And man, I mean, everything is just flourishing. When you're dealing with your farm friends, are they telling you the same thing that, man, I mean, this has been a great growing season?
Well, on some of the stuff, now the tomatoes, you have to be careful with the amount of rain that you get like at one time. So even though I agree, yeah, it's been kind of spread out. We've had a few really hard downpours, and so that's tough on the tomatoes. But when we first started to open the restaurant here, we started going to farmers markets and meeting farmers, and that was kind of our approach, was not just to know where the food came from, but also who the food came from and to have a relationship with them. So our farmers that we buy from will, communicate with us about, how all that's going, and, what's the best then, what's coming up, what's not looking great, what they're running low on, that kind of thing. And that really gives us an advantage to be able to menu plan around it, because, we can react, day of, hey, I don't have this. Yeah, we got this. But it helps us to know a little bit out ahead of time, and having that relationship with the farmers is the best part.
It's so cool. Look, my son Jordan and my son Justin, he was in town. We had done some fishing over the weekend, but they decided to take, Jordan took his wife and Justin took his girlfriend, and they went for a little trip this past Sunday, maybe Sunday morning. And they went up, they were out in the middle of nowhere. They found a tree with barnacles all over it, made a throw toward it, and it was covered up in mahi-mahi. And they caught some.
Oh, nice.
And so we've got some beautiful white meat in the refrigerator right now. But that's one of my favorite fish to eat, buddy. It really is.
So good.
It's so
it really
good.
Is. That's delicious.
So what kind of seafood do you have in house right now?
Well, right now we don't have anything. It'll all be coming in the morning. But we've been doing a lot of amberjack, a little bit of swordfish. One that we've kind of been doing recently that I like, that's kind of I think lesser known, is we've been doing African pompano, which, with all the seafood label and stuff, we're having to make sure that people realize that African pompano does come from the Gulf of Mexico. But it's a species of fish that moved over from around Africa, and it's in the same family as like the regular, like small pompano that you would catch in the surf. But they're huge, so you get kind of a similar flavor profile in like a much thicker fillet of fish. They're just delicious. So we've been getting that a lot in. And of course, our local shrimp, local crab, oysters from Deer Island. That's been all been really good this summer for sure.
We caught a big one this past weekend. It was a really big one. And what's so interesting about the African pompano is how white the meat is. I mean, when you cut into it, it's a beautiful meat. It's a firm, gorgeous meat that when you cook it, it's a flaky, white, great tasting meat.
Yeah, a little more delicate, a little more mild than like a regular pompano, which I love pompano. But yeah, it's just been very interesting. We and if anybody's listening and you haven't ever seen an African pompano, you should Google it. They're crazy looking.
They really are. And when you first look at them, you think there's no way that's edible, but it is. Right. It's beautiful. It's beautifully edible. But yeah, they get rather large. The one we caught was well in the 20-pound range. It was a monster. So yeah, it's been great. So how is business during the summertime? I mean, do you see a lot of tourists? You see a lot of locals? What's the vibe there during the summertime?
We do. There's a few different things that affect us in the summer. Like conventions and things like that. When they come into town, we usually do really well for that. Then we have like our weekend festivities that we don't do so well for. 4th of July being on a Friday was probably not the best for our restaurants, but it was fun. There was a lot of people in town that just weren't necessarily eating at restaurants. And then like scraping and those kind of events and things like that. When the traffic gets really bad, it's not great for our particular restaurant, but that's okay. There's good days in there too. So we do enjoy the tourism in the summertime.
Yeah, that you have to think about that when these big events that involve cruising of some sort, they can literally shut down Highway 90 to a creep. And unless somebody knows a really slick back way to get in there, and there is a slick back way to get in there, but even sometimes those are clogged up. So it can be a challenge, can it?
It can, for sure. Yeah, the Irish Hills are our secret backup way, but sometimes that one's backed up too.
Right. Hey, one of the things I've always been impressed with, I'm curious if this is still the case, but even through COVID and all of that, what's been interesting about your team, at least that was the case in the past, you were able to keep your core team together. You still got your core team together?
I do. We split them a little bit. Some of the people that have been here since the day one went to Siren, which kind of helped us have some cohesion there. But yes, we still have several employees that, we started out with 8 years ago, which in the restaurant business is really saying something. And I'm very proud of them. Everybody says that their restaurant's like a family, but I really do feel like ours is. Everybody gets along really well, actually enjoys working together. And, I think that makes a difference. We try to toe the line between putting out a very serious product and also not taking ourselves too seriously, because it is supposed to be fun. It is just dinner. And, we want our guests to have a good time while they're with us.
And the bar, I'm assuming the very unique bar at White Pillows continues to do very well.
It does. We actually haven't hired very many bartenders that aren't still employed with us. I don't know that we've hardly lost any.
Isn't that amazing? That's so amazing. Listen, I've enjoyed.
I think that is a testament.
Yeah, I've enjoyed catching up with you, Austin, as usual. I hope everything continues to go well for you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for having me on.
You bet. This has been Chef Austin Sumrall. Listen, have a great day, and we will see you in just a second, actually, with Singing River Health Talk. We'll see you after this.